Many students have told me that the reading section of the IELTS test is the most challenging section of the test. What do you think? Are you ready for the reading section of IELTS? Do you understand what you need to know before you take the test? Hi, it's Jerry with Global Connection ESL, and today's lesson is all about 5 common mistakes I've seen students make with the reading section of IELTS. Have you made these mistakes? I hope not, but if you have, you can learn from your mistakes. Before we jump into this lesson, would you subscribe to this channel? Go ahead, click that notification bell down below, and you will get all the updates for upcoming videos. I hope it will help you succeed as you prepare for IELTS. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the 5 common mistakes students make on IELTS reading. Okay, so let's look at the 5 common mistakes that students tend to make on IELTS reading. First mistake is not managing the time well. The IELTS reading test is a 60-minute test that has 3 reading passages. So you need to read all 3 passages and answer 13 or 14 questions for each passage. That's a total of 40 questions. So that means you really need to spend about 20 minutes per passage. But sometimes students will spend too much time on the first one, 25, 30 minutes, and then they lose the time for the second and last passage. So instead of reading so closely, one of the mistakes about managing time well is reading the entire passage very closely instead of skimming. It's very important to start by skimming the passage to get the main idea and general gist of the passage than to read so closely, because time is important on the IELTS reading test. Having said that, not managing time well can go to the other extreme too. Sometimes students will go to the questions first and begin thinking about answering the questions before even looking at the reading passage. This does help with some cases, but there are times where students already know about the information from their own background knowledge, and if they answer the questions by their background knowledge and not from the passage, they can easily make mistakes. So, manage your time well. Do your best to spend about 20 minutes per passage. Common mistake number 2 is not following the instructions. The IELTS test is clear in the instructions, and you must read them correctly. I've had many students who blow by the instructions so quickly and they miss questions because they didn't know what the question was asking for. You will see in some questions where it asks for a response that is 1 word, or 2 words and a number, or no more than 2 words. The instructions will explain what exactly you need to have in your answer. If you do not follow what the instructions say, the examiner will not give you credit for that answer. So please read the instructions carefully and follow them. Common mistake number 3 is not transferring the answers from their reading workbook to the answer sheet correctly. And this should not happen. You should always be sure to transfer your answers to the answer sheet correctly. Especially, I notice mistakes with spelling. Many times students do not copy the word with the correct spelling, and if the spelling is wrong, the answer is wrong. There are also times where I see students not finishing the test and they leave things blank because they just don't know what the answer is. But it's always best to leave an answer if possible. If you are running out of time and you must guess on some answers, then guess. You will not have any problem with having an answer there that's a mistake. You may be lucky and you may get it right. But if you leave it blank, there is a 100% chance that it will be marked wrong. common mistake number 4 is trying to understand everything. There are many students who start reading the passage and they read very carefully for everything in the passage. You should not expect to understand every word in the passage, but you do need to understand as much as you can, but quickly. So focus on getting the main idea and the general gist of the passage, instead of focusing on specific details and understanding every vocabulary word in the passage. Sometimes the vocabulary can be problematic for students who haven't learned the new words in the reading passage. If you are trying so hard to understand the vocabulary word, you can use up time and miss the question and miss finishing the reading test. You should learn more strategies for developing your vocabulary. In fact, reading more is one of the best ways to learn more vocabulary. Vocabulary lists can be helpful, but outside of the context of a reading passage, sometimes vocabulary isn't learned so well. It's also important to learn strategies of how to recognize a vocabulary word in the context of the reading. So, be careful with this common mistake. You don't need to understand everything, just understand as much as you can. And the common mistake number 5, not being familiar with the question types. Anyone who takes the test should review all the question types before the test. You must understand what you're being asked to do. And there are common questions on the IELTS reading that are asking for true, false, or not given answers. There are also questions that ask for yes or no or not given. But you must understand the difference between these two. Don't give a true answer for a yes question or a yes answer for a true question, because it will be marked wrong. If you want to know more about true, false, not given questions, I hope you'll check out this video here. Other question types for the reading passage are sentence completion, and sometimes it will tell you how many words to use for the sentence completion. You want to know how to match headings. You want to understand how to label a diagram. You want to understand how to answer a short answer question. And there are some more answer types that you want to learn before you take the reading section of the IELTS. So, those are 5 common mistakes that students make with IELTS reading. But I have one more that I want to talk about. This is a bonus, so I'm going to call it number 6 bonus, and that's misguided preparation. Many students focus so much on being successful on the IELTS test, and they don't spend enough time becoming a good English student. In fact, for the reading portion of the IELTS, if you become a stronger reader, then you will do better on the test. Strategies are important, but please do everything you can to improve your reading skills. Why do I say this? Well, I say this because the ultimate purpose of taking the IELTS test is to demonstrate your English proficiency. And if you are a good reader, then you can demonstrate your English proficiency. If you are only a good test taker, it's not always true that you are proficient in English. And I have met students who scored high on the IELTS test who did not have the English skills. So, prepare yourself by working hard on becoming proficient in English. So, what do you think? Have you ever made any of these mistakes? If you take the time to prepare well for the IELTS reading section, then you can avoid these mistakes. In fact, you won't waste your time and money by taking the test if you prepare well before the test. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have some questions, please leave a question or a comment below, and I will answer as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching. Can you like this video? Would you subscribe? Can you share it with your friends? I'd really appreciate it. That way others can be successful just like you. If you would like to watch other videos about IELTS preparation, please check my channel for them and follow me. I will provide more resources for you in the future. If you would like more resources for preparing for the IELTS test, please check out my other videos or my blog at my website. I hope these resources would be useful for you. And let me know if there's a specific question you have that you'd like for me to prepare a video for. I'll be glad to do that.